Je vais parler de three kinds of meat cuts that I think remain great value. Unlike, the whole lot of type of meats that we know has jumped up in price in the last decade or so due to bougie people finally getting into it. I mean, the real question is whether these picks will remain value for the foreseeable future, eh? Hey, Zempak here. Oh boy, it's been a minute since I've made cooking videos, hasn't it? And the reason for that is mostly because I've been trying to limit those types of videos to very quick meals that I can cook basically within the typical length of 10 minutes because, well, I'm lazy and I don't like editing whatsoever. But in reality, my favorite types of cooking leans towards the low and slow styles of braising and whatnot. And yes, that means I'm mostly braising meats. I mean, I'm not a child, I don't hate vegetables anymore, but meats, my lord. I always joke if I ever get that tick bite that gives me the disease where I can't digest meat anymore, I mean, what would be the point of life at that point, okay? Anyway, today's rant is just a response to how I keep hearing people moaning about how much meat costs these days, how it's expensive, and how even former cheap cuts are now becoming unreasonable due to, oh my god, bougie people finding out about them. And for once, I actually concur with the general sentiment with the common man that this is happening. Things such as bone marrow, beef tongue now cost like regular amounts of money per pound, which is surprising considering the general distaste Americans have for anything but the blandest of ingredients, usually, right? I think this is probably due to social media. I mean, I'm not only comparing, of course, value cuts to those esoteric picks that's been plucked out of obscurity relatively recently, but also against good old regular American staple ingredients, such as, well, I think the most common would be ground beef, right? The quintessential American ingredient. Currently, in my southern state, a pound of ground beef goes for, it's close to $10, right? Maybe 8 or 9 if I want to really shop around and find a coupon. But I'm just going to call it 10 for simplicity's sake. This is, of course, nowhere near the price per pound of a good steak, but is $10 the best we can do when we're talking about meats that we would like to eat on a regular basis? I mean, I love buying meat, and I'm telling you the answer is absolutely no. So today we're going to talk about value cuts of meats, and you should try more of if you haven't already been doing so, right? As a bonus, they are also delicious, so, okay, I know that's subjective. Yeah. So, if you enjoy some random rants from a dude, clearly with zero production skills, like, subscribe, share, comment, join, whatever. Okay, I'll be great regardless, because I just do these for funsies. Hit that bell icon. Oh my god. I don't know how to talk, obviously, right? And I'm asking you guys to do the thing that I don't do that often on this platform. But that's me. Minor hypocrite. Okay? Now, my first pick is actually my personal favorite, if only by a slight margin, and that is pork hocks, okay? These are pork hocks, they're not hoofs, so it's not pig's feet. I know people get freaked out. It's basically the section right above the ankle, okay? It's feet adjacent, okay? Now, I know pork is not that popular in the good old USA, but so maybe that's why this particular cut is still fairly reasonable in pricing, right? Around where I am. It comes to like $4 to $5 a pound, okay? It does come with a big bone right in the middle, but all that is just great for flavoring the multi-hour Dutch oven braise and or roast, I think, okay? This cut of a giant chunk of meat really just reminds me of visiting my grandma's, okay? Because whenever I used to visit her, she would have a pork hock slowly braising. So nostalgia is definitely a part of it for me. But don't get me wrong, it's not just Asian people who eat a lot of pork hocks. Apparently Germans do too, okay? Wifey and I were in Frankfurt and can confirm that was a local specialty. I'm pretty sure it's not just that part of Germany, but literally crispy pork hocks was the bar special for every cooking establishment we saw the menu of, okay? I quite enjoy that as well, but I have yet to recreate it for myself, as the recipes that I've looked up for the German-style pork hock seem pretty involved, and more than my lazy bum willing to work for it for now, okay? I will get to it eventually, but for me personally, there's hardly any meats satisfy my inner caveman than gnawing on a giant chunk of pork hock, okay? Meat on bone, okay? So, I love it. 10 out of 10. Now we're going to jump to the most ubiquitous meat that American consumers actually eats, and that's chicken, okay? I get it. We all know that chicken is cheaper than red meats, at least, right? So the cut that I feel like people ignore the most, I think, is actually chicken thighs. Bone in, skin on, please. Please, okay? Where I am, this goes for, I think, like $2.50 a pound or something like that. It is actually not the cheapest part of a chicken. Usually drumsticks are. I do love drumsticks, but I'd argue the value of chicken thighs is that it combines that rich, dark meatiness of drumsticks as well, right? With at least the possibility of, making it into dicable chunks that usually people use chicken breast for. Now, I think chicken breast is really boring and tastes like nothing, and it just dries easily, okay? And that's the most expensive part of a chicken. I get it, people buy that because it's ostensibly a little bit more healthy, maybe, and it's boneless, so it's easiest to work with. But bone-in thighs, I think, is a pretty good compromise, right? I learned how to debone a bone-in thigh after watching a 10-minute YouTube clips, okay, and I haven't looked back. So some quick batch processing will give me all the fatty skin on goodness that is also easy enough and even enough to cook with, like breast. That's what you do with a deboned bone-in chicken thigh, okay? Plus you get some bones for future stock. Best of both worlds. Now, yes, it does take a little bit of manual labor, but that's the fun part of cooking, I think. The secret ingredient is love, after all. And of course, no, I did not forget about real Americans like my wifey, who loves beef, and mostly beef only, okay? So my value picks from that animal, well, are some fun offos such as cheeks, heart, liver, or even tripe, if you're really brave, okay? All of these, by the way, range price per pound from $2 to maybe $4 to $5 at most, right? And most of these can be braised, right? Low and slow are the way to go for tripe, heart, cheeks, okay? You can flavor braises however you want. I do it Asian fusion style most of the time, but occasionally I throw in some Italian Romano style just to keep tripe interesting for my wifey, because she now loves tripe because I fed her these offals. Now, don't let me forget that liver is the exception here. It can be done really quickly, within 20 minutes on a stovetop with a pan. I think these are all prime candidates, actually, for further gentrification, by the way. I'm most afraid that someone on social media, or from a celebrity chef or something, will really break through on how absolutely mind-blowingly great cheeks are, or just a modern reinterpretation of a classic such as liver, right? I think younger people forget that liver and onions used to be a diner staple. I mean, would I be sad if these cuts tripled in price like beef tongue has? Yeah, I would be, but at least I'd be able to smile to myself and tell people a hearty "I told you so" in terms of how desirable these cuts should be, right? If we're just judging based on taste instead of familiarity. So, in conclusion, no, not all is lost. There are many parts to all these common animals, and there are tons of cultures around the world that's already been eating more parts of it than I can imagine, right? So I'd argue way more cuts of an animal than even I'm aware of can be just as good, if not great. I mean, my picks are just cuts that I can reasonably find in a red southern state in the good old US of A, okay? I do appreciate convenience because, I'm lazy and I refuse to drive to get fancy ethnic groceries. I'm just kidding. There's no such thing as bougie ethnic groceries, okay? And plus, I can get them on via the app We, okay? But seriously, though, just from my local American supermarket, I can find these deals that are basically half of what ground beef. Remember, ground beef is not even fancy, so half of what ground beef costs. So don't let inflation get you down. Cook for yourself and be happy that you guys have, all these choices to choose from for 3 different types of animals, right? Now, do you guys have any fun meat tips for me? Please let me know in the comments below. Cheers, à la prochaine.